Welcome back to Citizen Live at 1. We've had disturbing news that 7 people are reported to have died in Lotengay village in Baragoy, Samburu County, owing to a prevailing drought in the area. We are yet to confirm this, but we're looking into this story. Leaders, we are told, are now urging the government to intervene. At least 9 others are said to be in critical condition as a result of the drought that is now forcing residents to feed on acacia tree wild fruits.
Inja na umea watu. Inja peke yake hakuna mgonjwa. Inja nala na maji na kitu hii.
Wase wane umekufa na wakina mama wawili. Na wase karibu 9 wako katika hali mbaya.
We've seen the footage there really calling on the government to act speedily on that crisis. It looks like certainly the drought is taking some serious toll on the people in that area. Now we move to news about the referendum request by governors, and a section of members of Nyeri County have declined to endorse the referendum push, saying it was ill-timed and diversionary. Led by the Rudy Ward MCA, Gaithaiga Joroge, the MCAs numbering about 10 said they would oppose a vote on the referendum in the event the county conducted one, as it is required by law. The MCAs further accused governors of having little regard for them and only seeking them out when they wanted to achieve their own political ends. Nyeri Governor Nderetu Gachagua has been vocal in his support for the referendum and is among 15 governors in the select committee created by governors to spearhead the referendum drive.
He should wait 2017 to come and advocate for referendum. We wait for it, and we say we're not for it. For now, we're not supporting the referendum, and we want to urge all the stakeholders that at this particular point in time, we invite them to engage in negotiations. It's only a few years after we passed our constitution, and we think it's a bit too early for us to go back to a referendum.
From the local scene, we move to international news now, and another disturbing story. A family in Miami, United States, is mourning the loss of a little boy after he was mauled to death while visiting his father. Now investigators are trying to figure out how it happened and have taken 6 dogs from the home as investigations into the death are stepped up.
Could barely stand on their own. A grandmother inconsolable after learning her 4-year-old grandson, Javon Dade, was attacked to death.
Once officers arrived, they discovered a 4-year-old male deceased in the backyard. It appears at this time that there was some type of attack by dogs.
The disturbing find made by Miami-Dade police officers after the 4-year-old was reported missing at 10 o'clock in the morning. Police say the boy was visiting his dad, who lives at the home with his girlfriend on Southwest 123rd and 230th Street. Police now trying to figure out how it all happened. Animal Control removed 6 dogs from the home, 3 adults and 3 puppies.
A total of 6 dogs were removed, 3 adults, which appear to be American Bulldog Labrador Retriever mixes, and 1 pit bull. The puppies appear to be terrier mixes. They are too young to evaluate. They're under 6 months of age.
Authorities now trying to figure out which of the dogs made the deadly attack.
We're certainly hopeful that through DNA evidence and other evidence we're able to gather, that we will be able to confirm which dogs were involved in the attack.
Very sad story there. Now, Brazilian presidential candidate Eduardo Campos died yesterday morning in a plane crash in Santos, in the southeastern Brazilian state of Sao Paulo. Brazilian President Dilma Rousseff has mourned the loss of Campos and declared 3 days of national mourning. Rousseff is also a candidate in the 5th October presidential election.
The plane in which Campos was traveling crashed over several houses in a residential neighborhood in Santos. According to the Brazilian Air Force, the plane crashed as it was preparing to land, and the accident may have happened due to bad weather. There were 7 occupants in the plane, and there were no survivors. Witnesses said they were thrown into panic at the sight of thick smoke rising from nearby buildings. Campos' plane had left Rio and was heading for Santos, where several campaign events were scheduled. Earlier in the day, there were reports that Campos' wife and one of his sons were in the plane, but that was later denied. The candidate's family is reportedly in their home in Recife, Pernambuco state, and has yet to give any statement. Brazilian President Dilma Rousseff and presidential candidate Aécio Neves, who ranked first and second in the election polls, cancelled all political commitments for the day. 49-year-old Campos was married and had 5 children. Before running for presidency, he had served as governor of his native state, Pernambuco, as science and technology minister in the administration of Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, and a state and federal representative. Rousseff has declared 3 days of official mourning following the unexpected death of Campos.
Still on the international scene, a frightening scene at a London tube station. Floodwaters crashing through a hospital in Nebraska in the United States, and the U.S. Coast Guard officers rescuing an 800-pound giant sea turtle off the coast of New Jersey. Now, these pictures make up the special CNN package on videos of the day. Take a look, and you'll see why they were selected.
Security video shows a parent's worst nightmare at a London subway station, where the wind blew a child's stroller onto the train tracks. Moments later, you can see a woman running to the platform. She then pushes the child and herself to safety just before the train arrives. Police are looking for the couple to make sure the child is okay. Another incredible scene, this time at Good Samaritan Hospital in Kearney, Nebraska, as floodwaters burst through a window in the cafeteria. According to administrators, heavy rains in the area backed up sewer drains and sent 9 feet of water into the hospital. Fortunately, no one was hurt, and the water didn't reach any of the patient areas. And take a look at this. The U.S. Coast Guard came to the rescue of a giant sea turtle off the coast of New Jersey. The approximately 800-pound leatherback turtle was tangled in fishing lines. The crewmen were able to pull up alongside the trapped animal and carefully remove him from the knotted mess. Once rescued, the turtle swam away safely. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
Just before we start business, I have to say the lesson to learn from those videos, from the first one particularly, is if you're pushing a child in a pushchair, do not at any moment leave it unattended. Well, time now for business news, and we begin with news that Kenya is well on track towards launching direct flights to the United States beginning next year. Transport and Infrastructure Cabinet Secretary Engineer Michael Kamau has affirmed that deliberations on how best to actualize the direct flights are at an advanced stage, with much progress having been made at last week's US-Africa Summit. Engineer Kamau said national carrier Kenya Airways and US-based Delta Airlines remain the best bet for the direct flights. This emerged during a joint ministerial press briefing on what was achieved from the US-Africa Summit.
And therefore, Cat 1 status is very, very important. Direct flights from here. Delta is extremely keen, Delta Airlines, as I said. So we are looking at Delta and we are looking at KQ. We are definite about Cat 1 status because that is an audit and it is there. The marking scheme is there. And I guarantee you, as a Minister for Transport, that one is coming.
Well, meanwhile, Diamond Trust Bank has reported a 17% increase in its half-year pre-tax profit to 4.1 billion shillings. This was achieved on the back of a 27% increase in lending to 120 billion shillings compared to a similar period last year. During the period under review, customer deposits held by the bank grew by 21% to 136 billion shillings. This as the bank announced that it received 16 billion shillings worth of applications during its just concluded rights issue, denoting a massive 440% oversubscription. The bank's management has, however, decided to soak in all the proceeds of the rights issue, thereby boosting the bank's core capital to 20 billion shillings. DTB had offered some 22 million rights at a price of 165 shillings each, with a target to raise 3.6 billion shillings.
strategy to invest in those countries, in countries within East Africa, our traditional markets, to expand our branch network has paid off.
The rights issue was subscribed very heavily, and we achieved a subscription of 440%. First is to use part of this money to fund future asset growth in Kenya, to invest in our branch network, which continues to roll out on a fairly aggressive basis, as well as invest in alternative delivery channels, expand our existing agency banking network, as well as enrich our current mobile banking, internet banking, and other alternate delivery channels.
Well, President Uhuru Kenyatta was last week, of course, in the United States, where he led a Kenyan delegation at the first ever U.S.-Africa Summit. He, however, had a chance to meet Kenyans living in the U.S., who, by the way, are a major source of foreign currency inflows to Kenya, thanks to the billions of shillings in remittances that they send back to their relatives here at home. Now, during a meeting in Dallas, Texas, President Kenyatta had some rather interesting perspectives about Kenyans and their seemingly unquenchable thirst for business. Here's what he said.
Which on the African continent, as a people, surpassed by none other on the African continent. None other. In terms of talent, in terms of work ethic, in terms of understanding business. Wakenya hawataki kufundishwa biashara, wanaijua. Wao ni kuoneshwa pitia hapa. Wakipitia hapa, huko mwingine atajitokeza upande yake. They have no need to be taught. You should be the ones to sell our country and to show them what Kenya has to offer. Because if Kenya has this much to offer the United States, imagine what is left back at home. Imagine what is left back at home. And this is what they need to know.
That was the president speaking in Dallas, Texas. Now, the Ministry of Industrialization, the Council of Governors, and the National Duakali Federation have joined hands in a campaign that is aimed at rejuvenating the informal industry sector, commonly referred to as the Duakali sector. The three bodies say many young people in the country have a negative perception about jobs in the informal sector as they hope for white-collar jobs. This was said during an event held in Nairobi, led by the Council of Governors, in preparation for an upcoming conference called the Duakali Devolution Conference, to be held between the 27th to the 29th of this month. The organizers also used the event to create a platform that will get views from all Duakali stakeholders in the country in coming up with resolutions which will be identified to improve the Duakali sector in Kenya.
A single sector that would help us diversify our wealth creation, make our environment much more sustainable, and also make sure that we can create jobs for ourselves in this sector. There is no other sector except for this sector.
Now, frequently changing hairstyles are helping hair care grow into a multi-billion-dollar industry right here in Africa. But it's still largely based on the informal economy. However, global giants like L'Oreal and Unilever are getting more and more involved in the industry. Let's have a look.
All the skill of a master weaver at Alum, Josephine Agua sits under a parasol in the sprawling Wuse market in Nigeria's capital and spins synthetic hair into women's hair. Nearby, 3 customers wait for a turn to spend several hours and about 3,500 shillings to have their hair done. A hefty sum in a country where many live on less than 176 shillings a day.
Hair is very important to women because if I look ugly, will you like me? You will not like me. Yes, because I'm married and my husband wants me to tidy up myself. So hair is very important, and hair is a beauty of a woman.
Hairdressers such as Agua are a fixture of the market and taxi ranks across Africa, reflecting both the continent's rising incomes and demand for hair-conscious women.
I prefer to do it here because if I go to salon, the salon is expensive than this one.
While reliable Africa-wide figures are hard to come by, the market research firm Euromonitor International estimates that close to 96 billion shillings of shampoos, relaxers, and hair lotions were sold in South Africa, Nigeria, and Cameroon alone last year. This does not include sales from more than 40 other sub-Saharan countries or the huge dry hair market of weaves, extensions, and wigs crafted from everything from synthetic fiber to human or yak hair. Some estimates put Africa's dry hair industry at as much as 528 billion shillings a year. Hair care is a vital source of jobs for women who make up a large slice of Africa's informal economy, and Kenyan women have not been left behind.
Kanai for 1 month, alafu tena unakuja unawekewa ingine. Like hizi makondo soul lines, unaweza kukuwa nayo for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, alafu unatoa unawekewa ingine sasa.
While still largely based in the informal economy, the African hair care business has become a multi-billion-dollar industry that stretches to China and India and has drawn global giants such as L'Oreal and Unilever.
African women change their hairstyle between 6 to 12 times a year. So the average is 8. So you imagine if you compare to a Caucasian or an Asian woman, it's totally different ritual and culture. And they move from straight hair to dreads to braids to extensions. They color their hair sometimes with very fancy colors. So they are very, very daring.
Today, there are more than 100 brands of hair in South Africa, making the market worth about 53 billion shillings, he said, roughly 4 times more than in 2005. The French cosmetics giant this year opened what it billed as South Africa's first multi-ethnic styling school, training students of all races on all kinds of hair, something that would have been unthinkable before the end of apartheid in 1994. L'Oreal is looking to build on its Dark and Lovely line of relaxers and other products with more research into African hair and skin, and has factories in South Africa and Kenya producing almost half the products it distributes on the continent. Much of the hair sold is the cheaper synthetic type and comes from Asia.
Very interesting. Now, yesterday, we profiled for you the story of a young dairy farmer in Nyeri, Martin Drought, a university student who has opted to defy convention to go a step further and process homemade yogurt as a complement to his dairy business. Right now on Smart Farm, our very own Dennis Otieno brings you his story.
It is about 9:30 a.m. here at Kiroro village in Mukuruweni, Nyeri County, where Martin Njoroge is doing what may easily pass for another morning chore in rural Kenya. Not so for this 21-year-old university student who is now actively involved in the dairy business.
I buy fresh milk from my father at 40 shillings per litre. So I buy a whole batch, maybe 100 liters. Then I take. He brings it to me to the dry, but still I have to pay for the fuel. Then when I go to the dry, I sell the same liter that he sold to me at 40 shillings, I sell at 60 shillings.
Martin receives 200 liters of milk every week from his cow, as well as from 9 cows that are owned by his father. Unlike most other small-scale dairy farmers, Martin did not settle at simply selling raw milk.
By then I used to go to town at a hotel called the Honeypot Hotel. During lunchtime I used to watch people. Every time the hotel used to get full and everyone used to order, I want a cup of yogurt and bread. I want a cup of yogurt and donuts. I want a cup of yogurt and rice. I want a cup of yogurt and bread. So I wondered, why can't I start the business of yogurt and the milk is available?
To make yogurt, Martin heats the whole milk to a temperature of 85 degrees centigrade adding sugar to taste. He then adds yogurt culture to the whole milk, leaving it to settle. Once ready, the milk is cooled to a temperature of 45 degrees centigrade and stored in an insulated container for up to 7 hours before being kept under refrigeration ready for sale.
I packaged my yogurt using the 5-liter bottle. The 1-liter bottle, the half-liter bottle, and the small package for 200 ml. The 300 ml was rated at 20 shillings.
Martin is part of a growing number of young farmers in the country that are milking the value addition opportunities in the dairy industry, and the rewards of his enterprise have been handsome.
So my yogurt sales, I'm able to earn a total 40,000 shillings per month. That is for my sales, after I've deducted every day.
But selling yogurt is a climate-driven business that thrives best during times of hot weather.
Since I have to cool the yogurt, it's much sweeter when it is cold than when it is warm. So when you're selling to the customer, it is that cold, and the weather is still cold, the cost goes down. So I'm not able to make a large amount of yogurt compared when the weather is warm and hot.
So if you're thinking of going the Milky Way, here's some advice.
Youths out there, don't take farming like it is just work that you need to do a lot of manual work. You need to use a lot of your muscles, or you need to touch that. No, it doesn't involve all that.
And while dairy farming remains a near subsistence activity to many a rural household, Martin holds that it is possible to milk more than just raw milk through dairy farming. Dennis Otieno, Smart Farm.
Congratulations, Martin. Good job. Now back to the business of beauty. And lots of people are spending more and more money to sparkle their look. And this trend has seen the emergence of the health and beauty business spa. Emily McKenna of Premier Beauty Lounge tells us what it takes to venture into the spa business on this week's Enterprise segment of What It Takes.
My name is Emily McKenna, one of the shareholders of the Premier Beauty Lounge in Kitchener Westlands, based on 50th floor. Basically, our day spa is about taking care of people's skin and body treatments. The spa industry is really growing in Kenya, based on the sense that people have really now come out and wanting to take care of their body and taking care of their beauty. You can start small. You can start having a small spa, so you can get quality products but at a cheaper price, and you can use them on people who have minimal income. Like you can do a service worth 400 shillings, which is affordable to a common Kenyan, and it's not basically for elite and the rich. For someone who would want to start small, maybe in our estates, you can start up with something like 200,000 and going up. You can buy cheaper equipment, whereas you can have a foot spa that would cost you maybe like 5,000 shillings. You can have a machine facial that will cost you less rather than having the bigger machines. If you're targeting high-end clients, you can put in a few millions, like maybe from 3 million and above, because you'd like to get modern equipment that will cater for them. They'll get the same services they're getting outside there. They'll get the same services here in Kenya. Apart from capital, you need to look for workers, for experienced staff. You have to get qualified, trained staff to work in a spa. And also, we need the working permit, like the business permits and the licenses. And also look for a place that has maybe flow of water, sufficient supply of water throughout. I would say that profitability matters with the amount of capital that you put in to start off the business. And also, if you're working hard enough, you put up a capital of 200,000, and you have enough clients to attend to, you can make a profit of up to 30,000 per month or even more. And comparing to the elite class, where maybe you put a spa in the upper town, you can make a good profit after meeting your overheads, that is maybe from 200,000 and above. Sourcing clients, it's basically through marketing, through word of mouth, and you can have beauticians or beauty therapists that have clients that they are attached to. The most intelligent things that someone can experience in the spa industry is where you get workers like the beauty therapists who keep on shifting from one place to another, so that you're not able to maintain workers for a long time. Also, nowadays there are counterfeit products in the market. When you're putting up a spa, it's good to look for goods, products that are genuine. And that's what it takes to start up a spa business.
Let's turn our attention now to the currency market, where the Kenyan shilling has slipped against the US dollar due to strong demand for dollars by companies and commercial banks as well. According to the Central Bank of Kenya, commercial banks are now buying $1 at an indicative rate of 88 shillings, but selling it at 88 shillings and 15 cents. To the euro, the Kenyan shilling is exchanging at 17 shillings 48 cents, buying 117 shillings and 48 cents, buying 117 shillings 71 cents, selling. Commercial banks are now buying £1 sterling pound at 146 shillings and 80 cents, but selling it at 147 shillings and 11 cents. On the regional front, the Kenyan shilling stood unchanged against its regional counterparts. To the Tanzanian unit, the shilling is trading at 18 shillings 79 cents, buying 18 shillings 94 cents, selling, while to the Ugandan unit, it is exchanging at 29 shillings and 58 cents, buying 29 shillings and 74 cents, selling. And with that, we go to sport. Welcome to the studio, Bernard Dong. What's new in sport?
Well, in business, it's about numbers, and in sport, it's also about numbers. And in this particular case, it's as far as the FIFA World Rankings are concerned. Remember, the FIFA World Cup happened last month. Well, of course, that had ramifications, and also a lot of international tournaments are taking place immediately after the World Cup. So, Kenya's standing is not too good after that performance. Remember, they failed to qualify for the next round.
We remember.
That unfortunate results meant that the team had to, Kenya's rankings had to drop. Yes, significantly.
Okay, so more bad news on the way in sports, sadly.
Of course, that's the only bad news, but good news in the world of athletics for the Kenyan team that's in Morocco, Marrakech. I'll be telling you why and how after this.